Strange. I've seen this before.
Hello, YouTubers. This is the 8-9 combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones. And this is Games of the Week, mate. And again, you are coming to us from a car park. Hello.
Yes, I'm looking for Felix Jones somewhere. I'm between terminals 3, 4, and 5. I'm wandering the mean, leafy streets of London. And I'm once again joining you in a very difficult to broadcast from spot. Sorry about that, mate.
This is the third consecutive month that you have come to me from a car park. So this is now just part of what we do, evidently.
This is also the second time we've done this recording. So the big trick is, can we remember what we didn't say or did say?
We had a few technical glitches, and so yes, theoretically this is take 2, but we'll be fine. It'll be fine. But It is great to be back for another week of the Rugby Championship, and we are really pleased to be brought to you throughout the tournament by Chasing the Sun 2, the wonderful 5-part all-access series documenting the Springboks' journey to their memorable 2023 Rugby World Cup win, and which is coming soon to RugbyPass TV worldwide. Just head to rugbypass.tv, sign up for free, and you can watch the first series there already in anticipation. And it's great to be back at the end of another week, mate, but we do want people to go back and find episode 26 of the 8-9 combo early in the week with Jeff Parks, with our mate Jeff. A great round of first thoughts heading into this weekend with a couple of very big games for very different reasons.
Jeff is one of those guys that has an extraordinary amount of knowledge about an extraordinary amount of things. So it's always worth going back and listening. I find that actually he's one of those guys, second time around, you go, oh, and you'll see that when he talks about the All Black team, that he really nails several issues that we're now seeing in the naming.
He did, which we will get to because it is round 3 of the Rugby Championship. So games of the week is pretty simple. South Africa v New Zealand at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, 5 p.m. local time. That's 1 a.m. in Australia, 3 a.m. in New Zealand. And then Argentina v Australia at Plata on Saturday night, 7 p.m. local time. That's 8 o'clock Australian time on the East Coast. And there's been some interesting selections for the Ellis Park match. Russie named a team on Tuesday, then 10 minutes later changed his mind and brought Eben Esbeth back.
Yeah, Russie must have gone skydiving with a bottle of Jack Daniels and snorting something here and there and smoking something, because his press conference was like a stream of consciousness. But the key word there was miracle, and he predicted a miracle. He said, there could be a miraculous recovery from the back, the knee, whatever it is. And sure enough, the sort of the feint of making the All Blacks think about a lock or a 6 or is Scooter Barrett, the hallway pounder or the thumper, as Jeff Parks calls him, it kind of resulted in, once again, one of the world's most amazing benches, Pollard, Marks, Etzebeth, coming on the second half.
Yeah.
And Russie just seems to be enjoying his life right now as a head coach.
Do you think Etzebeth was always playing?
That's what the information I had, and so I've got some proof of that on a WhatsApp text where someone said, no, he's definitely playing. They just want to play a game here.
Yeah.
I also thought it was illustrative this is inside Springbok world. It's like, okay, so if he comes back in, who gets dropped back out was a big message. And Marco van Staden was the unlucky one, which says less about Marco van Staden, who they really do like. It's more about Elrich Lowe and Ben Jason Dixon, and the rise of those two young players who have less than 10 caps and being trusted to man the fort against the mighty All Blacks.
Yeah, it's a really good point. New Zealand named their team earlier Thursday, and as you say, Jeff Parks prescient in his thoughts about Caleb Clark returning to the left wing, and boom, that's happened. Scott Barrett's back at lock, not at blindside like we suspected might have happened. And Sam Cane. I don't think we mentioned Sam Cane on the episode, did we?
No, he's a good ad, though. It takes experience to walk into the cauldron of 65,000 to 70,000, however they count it, in Ellis Park. I'll be one of those, and I will lose my voice in 2 seconds. Sam Cane has that kind of, the World Cup notwithstanding, generally speaking, over Sam Cane's career, he's kept his head. He's been really good at staying on the mission. And you just need hard tackles for a while. That's the Irish template of beating the Boks in Durban was about physicality to the extreme. It just was off the charts, and I think Sam Cane brings that in spades.
Yeah, and an interesting moment because I think when he announced his retirement from Test football back only 2 months ago, I don't know that he was. I don't know that he was convinced he would play another Test at that point.
Yeah, well, I think so. They say that Dalton Papali'i had a niggle, but you never know. It's kind of like the Ibn niggle is how much of a niggle would it be? I think it was almost cover for Dalton to say, you haven't been at your best, haven't replicated the Blues form. Sam Cane's like a guy that you know exactly what he brings to the Test match. He'll never play a 9 or a 10 game. It's always an 8. And sometimes you just need a guy who's not going to give you a 6 or 7. He's not going to miss tackles, and the tackles he makes are going to hurt. Jeff Parks also talked a lot about putting people in the right position. So Caleb Clark is a left winger, and Talea putting it left wing is kind of a mix and match. Maybe Sam Cane is also sort of he's an exact flank. Like, he is a guy who knows how to play flank rugby.
Yeah, that's really good. It's a really good shout. Argentina, Australia will name their team Friday morning my time, obviously Thursday night in South America. But either way, it will be after we've recorded this. So in lieu of that, hang on, before we get to that, a little bit of a milestone coming out of the Wallaby camp. We know that the early drops have leaked through again. 15th debutant with Hamish Stewart set to start at number 12, and I'm really excited about that. I think it's a really good opportunity for him and a really well-deserved opportunity for him. But the big news is another captain, and it is friend of the pod, Harry Wilson.
Yeah, such a friend. I mean, he's a 3-time friend. He's like, like a real, true blue, sincere friend. I like Harry Wilson as a captain, even though some people in Australia might be thinking, how many captains are we going to go through before we get the captain? I like Harry Wilson because he's got that spirit. He seems like almost an old school, actually in any sport. I could see him being a cricket captain, just giving the guys strength, never claiming to be the most, talented or most athletic. But I've never seen Harry Wilson play a game where he didn't give his all. And that's what you want from a captain. A bit like Sia Khaleesi, right? He's not the best player in the box, but he's the best leader. And
he does the job.
I actually, when I heard that news, and I'm kind of sometimes annoyed by all these leaks and why people are fascinated with the news before the news, but I thought, that will work. Harry Wilson, Argentina, I could see him just going, come on, guys, we're going into battle.
Exactly right. Come on, boys, sleeves up, let's go. Yeah. Now,
speaking of sleeves, I want to apologize to you because I did some artwork this week and I got the Wallaby gold horribly wrong, and it looked like Portugal. And I'm looking at your jersey right now. I go, that is so much golder than I had it. So sorry.
Yes. No, you had it a very Welsh shade of gold. We do need to mark the milestone of Harry Wilson's rise to the pod, to the captaincy, because with our help, he's gone from outside the team to back in to starring, and now captain of Australia. That's all happened on our watch.
What a bloody broken arm to boot. Look, we've crowned kings. We've made governments rise and fall. We've even started new currencies, probably, but we've never actually made a Test captain before.
No,
just from our own power and our own persuasion.
This is the power of the pod, no doubt. Now, in lieu of Los Pumas and the Wallabies teams actually been named, you've proposed that we're going to do something a little bit different, and I tentatively have a note here called the 8-9 draft. What are we about to do?
Yeah, so without denigrating any team and saying we're dropping someone, we're not doing this thought experiment. Sometimes it happens online where you say, if I swapped players, I just want to know if you could magically take a back and a member of the pack of your opposition this week and have them in the Wallabies squad. Not even necessarily starting, but just that, like filling a hole. And I'm trying to help us build some hype, because as we know, we're trying to wonder if Machuka, our friend Chook, will get up in the middle of the night to watch these matches. And I think the more hype, the better. So let's build some hype by saying, which Pumas would Brett McKay co-opt or draft into the Wallaby setup?
At the moment? Well, at the moment, I reckon I'd love to have Guido Petty in the second row.
Line out feet. Yes.
line-out thief, workhorse, work rate,
Yes.
hits, rucks, physicality, all of that. I think Guido Petty in an Australian jersey could do damage in South America. So I like that thought. And
he also wouldn't mind if he goes starter or bench. He's that kind of player. You kick him in either time.
It would have impact.
And that would address some of the Wallaby depth issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I think I would start him. I think I'd drop him straight in. And I think I would also slot Santiago Chocobates straight into number 12.
Yeah, Chocobates. I just love saying his name. He's such a good player.
And size in midfield. He's a bigger, heavier guy than Juan Martin Gonzalez.
He kind of reminds me of a classic midfielder too. He's got really good eyes. He knows when to put it on the grubber, keep it. I love that guy.
Really good hands. Really good hands. And I think I think the game is changing again, and Australia's catching up as we do. I think the game is moving away from the smaller playmaking 12. I think the fullback is now starting to become the second playmaker. So it means that 12 needs to be a bit of a ball carrier again. And Chocobates just oozes physicality in midfield, doesn't he?
If you look at the template for the top 4 teams, it's true. You've had for a while Jordy Barrett, a very tall guy, Delende, Bondiaki. It just seems like big is good. Jonathan Donty. These are like steamrollers. Or they're guys that can see over, and play. Yeah, that's a good shot. I think those 2 players would immediately make the Wallabies a better team. Yeah.
They would. So then which All Blacks are you slotting into this super box team at the moment?
Yeah, so I actually would go in a way. I would go with depth in the forward pack. I wouldn't necessarily look to have anyone take someone's place, but Asafa Omoa as a hooker would solve one of our big problems, which is who's the depth at hooker if there's a niggle to Bongi or Marks. And let's be honest, niggles are a part of Test Rugby, and hookers are chief among the people who get hurt because they're just in the action all the time. I love his hard carrying style. I think he'd be the best carrier hooker. And so, he wouldn't have as much pressure on the line out. On the back line, I would go with 1/3 of the tremendous DNA sampling that Smiley Barrett has conferred upon his country of birth, the one he loves so much. 1/5 of the starting 15, Bowden, Bok beating Bastard Barrett just so that he would stop beating the Boks. And
I see.
And he'd be like the Willie LaRue sort of prototype who could come on and be that jump starter number 23. I always liked Bowden best when he was at 23. I mean, I hated him because he knew that, but I liked him coming on off the bench, studying the game. I think he's a good student of the game, and he's that kind of guy who can close out a match.
But just to clarify, what you're saying is you're not picking him to make the Boks better. You're picking him so that he can no longer beat the Boks.
Yeah. It's mostly a defensive move. Exactly.
Okay.
It's strategery.
Okay. All right. Who do you think, which Boks do you think New Zealand would take?
I always hear people singing the praises of Malcolm Marks. That's actually very interesting. Yeah. It might take it to those hookers. Right about now, they'll probably take Gibbon. And the other thing is Peter Steph Toy is probably like giving them battle scars. So they might do the same thing I just did with Bowden Barrett and say, Peter Steph Toy, so he will stop tackling Geordie. I don't know on the backs. Right. I don't know if they fancy any of our backs. Probably secretly they do, but they probably want to put out the fact that their back line's better.
They would slot Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu into 10 without thinking about it, and he would be there for the next 10 years. He just would.
Yeah, Sasha might be the guy. You're right, because he has that sort of New Zealand flair. Yeah.
And then it would be Bowden. You can play as much or not as you want. Richie, you can stay in Japan for as long as you want. We've got a new guy. It'll be fine.
But they would change his name to Sasha Ma'aungogulu Zulu. There would be a lot of apostrophes, and they would Pacific Island it up. Yeah,
they would. I'm trying to think about which Wallabies the Argentinians would take. They might take Taniela Tupou just for some size in the front row at scrum time.
Ooh, They might take 2 props. They might take Angus Bell.
Yeah.
And Argentina's lack of props is the story going into this match. Is like if the Wallabies can create counterintuitively a forward-based battle, tight, discipline-y, and almost like do everything that the Wallabies have not been doing for a while. That would be the Argentina's Achilles heel, because they got no scrum, and they really sometimes just get bored with it. They want to throw the ball around and go wide. I think maybe with Marika Korobete and others, I think Tom Wright could probably play that kind of game with them. But I would think it's a danger of getting sucked into a wide open counterattack and then look up and see the score. It's 30-all, and then they've got a little more gas. I would think creating a slowdown match with scrum penalties, maybe even test out the maul defense. I don't know.
The other name that I thought that might actually suit them is actually Tate McDermott, and because his little running sniping game might just be enough to create the broken field situations that their back three and outside players thrive on.
And I would love to hear the Argentinian commentators, like our friend Marcelo Bosch, coming on and saying, Tate McDermott, his name would be so great. The mining analyst.
Right. So how do you rate the 8-9 draft then? Is this a thing?
It's interesting. What it does, more than just showing you how good another player is from another team, it almost immediately highlights your deficit. Like your brain immediately goes to who would you like? Yeah.
Plugging the gaps. Yes, exactly right. Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. All right. The 8-9 draft. It could be a thing. Elsewhere this weekend, mate. Round 2 of the Pacific Nations Cup, Samoa hosting Tonga in Apia on Friday afternoon late. USA hosts Canada in Carson, California, Saturday night. And that's sort of a bit of a must-win for both teams all of a sudden, isn't it?
It'll be very spicy. They'll probably be the most actual fist fights in a match since the 1980s. These teams they hate each other. They don't like
it could be. NPC round 4 in New Zealand. I reckon the picks this weekend. There's probably something in Waikato, Auckland. But I also like the idea of Northland playing Southland just because of the extremities involved.
If it's not Tane Edmund, I don't watch the NPC. But if I do, if he's on, I watch every single play. I'm on a mission to restore Tane Edmund to greatness. I
might actually be able to see a bit of him this weekend. North Harbour playing Counties at 2 p.m. on Saturday, 2 p.m. local time. So I might actually get to see that. The competition that you don't want us to talk about, the Curry Cup in South Africa. What's the pick there this weekend? Bulls, Lions?
It's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's that it's not actually happening. It is a figment of your imagination.
It is. Look, there it is there. There's the fixtures.
It's a giant conspiracy theory to make us look bad. And the latest news is they're thinking about taking Western Province's name out of the Curry Cup and some derivation of the Stormers. I mean, what's next? It's so fictional, this Curry Cup. I'm just refusing to buy into it. I prefer to watch Varsity Cup, high schools, South African schools, anything except this abomination called the Curry Cup, where John Dobson has his head all the way up his arse.
Yeah, no, you're taking the results very well. Talk to me. The Major League Rugby draft was kicking off on Thursday. Any major surprises coming through it? Oh, before that, San Diego Legion have landed Australian men's sevens coach John Manenti, and that's a good pickup.
It's very interesting, right? Like instances of sevens coaches going to 15s and doing well, or vice versa. There are some. I think it's a very interesting play.
John was a very successful 15s coach before he got involved in sevens, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think sometimes if you can do both and straddle it, there's a coach on the Bok team, Coach Stick, who came from that kind of tradition, and they're very good at rocks and midfield. They teach all players to be like a Quaha Smith. So that could be interesting for San Diego, who has kind of lacked punch on the 3rd, 4th, 5th phase. I talked to Marcel Brache from San Diego, and he's excited, and he said there's a lot of excitement in the camp about this hire.
Yeah, because half the squad would have played for him, probably.
Exactly.
Got a lot of Australians.
There's a known quantity, but also just an excitement about what that might bring on the attack side.
Any surprises in the draft that you've seen?
No, so it's. I tried to look at the profiles of some of these guys. It's interesting because a lot of them come from actual colleges. So the pathway to all sports in America is through colleges, through schools and colleges, inside which people are heavily analyzed and stacked in some kind of ranking system. And so by the time you go to the draft, it's actually not that much of a surprise. Like the best players get picked. It's an interesting system, and I've always wondered about it, of how that could be used in rugby. And I think maybe in, like, let's say English schools, it could work. I think it also could work in South African schools as well, because the players are so well known. But it's interesting.
Irish schools, certainly.
Yeah, Irish schools. So you'd have St. Michael's, Blackrock, and you could actually like rank them,
Even New Zealand, probably, when you think about it. They kind of their first 15 competition is pretty strong.
What I like about it is it builds some drama, some hype. And also for the rest of your career, it could either be a motivation, like I was picked in the top 2 or 3, so I had to perform, or the Tom Brady thing of like, I was.
They didn't pick me till the 70s.
So I'll prove them wrong. I do like the idea. I think we should think about how to use that in some way. It might enliven Super Rugby, for example.
Okay. All right. Well, to use Sean Maloney's terms, we'll call out a chat for another day. Because there it is, the full-time whistle on another Rugby Championship edition of Games of the Week. Our weekly service to rugby fulfilled, mate. We've done it again.
Bucks by 1 million, but we're still underdogs.
No, you're not. You're not. You're just
we're
not.
The best. We're best. We're the better team, but we're still underdogs. And I don't know how I get there, but I just feel like that's true.
There's a lot of mental mind arithmetic and mental gymnastics happening. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Tell us what you think and how deluded Harry is about this underdog status at the 8-9 combo on all the socials, or leave your thoughts in the comment section right here on the YouTube channel as well, or tell Harry and I on the socials in our usual places at Harry Baldy Jones and at BMC Sport. Please do like, follow, subscribe on the pod platform of choice and on YouTube as well. Make sure you get everything as soon as it drops. And as we mentioned at the start, go and find episode 29 of the 8-9 combo with Jeff Parks, wherever you pod it. It really was another great chat to kick off the rugby week. And don't forget as well to head to RugbyPass.tv, where you can see the 2019 series of Chasing the Sun, the documentary series celebrating South Africa's back-to-back Rugby World Cup titles, and with the 2023 series Chasing the Sun 2 coming soon. Sign up for free and watch it wherever you are in the rugby world. This is Games of the Week from the 8-9 combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realise you needed, coming from the podcast double act you already had. I'm Brett McKay, he's Harry Jones, and we'll be back in your ears in the very early hours of Sunday morning Australian and New Zealand time with the 3rd Rugby Championship edition of the Test Match Postmortem.
Come play with us.